Rama Krishna Hayagriva Om Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva Nisingha Vamana Sri Madhusudanam Brajendra Nandana Syamo Nisingha Vamana Sri Madhusudanam Brajendra Nandana Syamo Putana Ghatana Kaitava Satana Jaya Dasa Rathiramo Putana Ghatana Kaitava Satana Jaya Dasa Rathiramo Yasoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandara Yasoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Vara Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Vara Ravananta Kara Makhana Taskara Gopi Jana Vastrahari Ravananta Kara Makhana Taskara Gopi Jana Vastrahari Brajera Rakhala Gopa Vrindapala Chittahari Vansidhari Tera Rakhala Gopa Vrindapala Chittahari Vansidhari Yogindra Vandana Sri Nandanandana Brajajana Bhayahari Yogindra Vandana Sri Nandanandana Brajajana Bhayahari Navina Nirada Rupa Manohara Mohana Vansi Vihari Navina Nirada Rupa Manohara Vansi Vihari Yasodanandana Kansani Sudana Nikunjara Sabilasi Yasodanandana Kansani Sudana Nikunjara Sabilasi Kadamba Kanana Rasa Parayana Vrinda Vipina Nivasi Kadamba Kanana Rasa Parayana Vrinda Vipina Nivasi Ananda Vardhana Prema Niketana Pulasara Jojaka Kamo Ananda Vardhana Prema Niketana Pulasara Jojaka Kamo Gopangana Gana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamo Gana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamo Jamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Jamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Nama Sudhara Sagao Krishna Jasa Rakho Vachana Manamora Nama Sudhara Sagao Krishna Jasa Rakho Vachana Manamora Vibhavari Sita Alo আলোক প্রবেশ নিদ্রা ছাড়ি ওঠো জীবন বিভাবরী শ্রেষ্ঠ আলোক প্রবেশ নিদ্রা ছাড়ি ওঠো জীবন বলো হরি হরি মুকুন্দ মুরারি রাম কৃষ্ণ হয়গ্রীব বলো হরি হরি মুকুন্দ মুরারি রাম কৃষ্ণ হয়গ্রীব জয় কৃষ্ণ বলরাম জয় কৃষ্ণ বলরাম কৃষ্ণ বলরাম জয় রাধে শ্যাম কৃষ্ণ বলরাম কৃষ্ণ বলরাম জয় রাধে শ্যাম জয় রাধে শ্যাম রাধে শ্যাম ललिता विशाखा जय राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम राधे श्याम ललिता विशाखा जय राधे श्याम जय राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे राधा मदन मोहन राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
Read the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita together. We can have seats. Chapter 7 Knowledge of the Absolute Vijnana Yoga Katha Saptamo Adhyaya. We'll recite together. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Sakta Mana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasyasi Tashrinu Jnanam Teham Savijnanam Idam Vakshyamyasheshata Yajñātvā neha bhuyo nyaj Jnātavyam avashishyate Manushyanam sahasreshu Kashchid yatati siddhaye Yatatam api siddhanam Kashchin mam veti tattvata Bhumirapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankariti amme bhinna prakritir ashtadha aprayamitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedham dharyate jagat etad-yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadharaya aham kritsanasya jagata प्रभवा प्रलयस्तथा मत्तपरतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जया मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतं सूत्रे मणिगणा इव रसोऽहमप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्ययो प्रणवा सर्ववेदेषु शब्दखे पौरुषं नृषु पुण्यो गन्धा पृथिव्यां च तेजश्चास्मि विभावसौ जीवनं सर्वभूतेषु तपश्चास्मि तपस्विषु बीजं मां सर्वभूतानां विद्धि पार्थ सनातनं बुद्धिर्बुद्धिमतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहम् बलं बलवतां चाहं कामरागविवर्जितं धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभा ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि ज्ञात्वाहं तेषु ते मयि त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैरेभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम् दैवी हि एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरतया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते न मां दुष्कृतिनो मूढा प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमा माययापहृतज्ञाना आसुरं भावमाश्रिता चतुर्विधा भजन्ते मां जना सुकृतिनो अर्जुन आर्तो जिज्ञासुरर्थार्थी ज्ञानी च भरतर्षभा तेषां ज्ञानी नित्ययुक्ता एकभक्तिर्विशिष्यते प्रियो हि ज्ञानिनोत्यर्थम् अहं स च ममा प्रिया उदारा सर्व एवैते ज्ञानी आत्मैव मे मतम् आस्थिता स हि युक्तात्मा मामेवानुत्तमां गतिम् बहूनां जन्मनामन्ते ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते वासुदेव सर्वमिति स महात्मा सुदुर्लभा कामैस्तैस्तिरितज्ञाना प्रपद्यन्त्यन्यदेवता तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया यो यो यां यां तनुं भक्ता श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां तामेव विदधाम्यहम् स तया श्रद्धया युक्तस्तस्याराधनम् ईहते लभते च ततः कामान् मय्यैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवति अल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धया परं भावं जानन्तो ममाव्ययम् अनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाश सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्याणि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन
इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ता भजन्ते मां दृढव्रता जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदु कृत्स्नम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूतादिदैवं मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदु प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसा ॐ तत्सदिति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे विज्ञानयोगो नाम सप्तमोऽध्यायः हरि ओम्। Okay, we'll do prayers, Prahlad prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. अस्तो सिद्धरिमेकाग्रा मनसा सुसमाहिता प्रेम गद्गदया वाचा तन्नयस्तहृदये क्षणा श्रीप्रह्लादुवाच ब्रह्मादयासुरगणा मुनयोऽथ सिद्धा सत्वैकतानगतयो वचसां प्रवाहे नाराधितुं पुरुगणैरधुनापि पिप्रू किं तोष्टुमर्हति समे हरिरुग्रजाते मन्ये धनाभिजनारूपतपाश्रुतौजस् तेजा प्रभावबलपौरुषबुद्धियोगा नाराधनाय हि भवन्ति परस्य पुंसो भक्त्या तुतोष भगवान् गजयूथपाया विप्राद्विषद्गुणयुतादरविन्दनाभा पादारविन्दविमुखाश्वपचं वरिष्ठं मन्ये तदर्पितमनो वचने हितार्था प्राणं पुनाति सकुलं न तु भूरिमाना नैवात्मना प्रभुरयं निजलाभपूर्णो मानं जनादविदुषा करुणो वृणीते यद्यज्जनो भगवते विदधीतमानं तच्चात्मने प्रतिमुखस्य यथा मुखश्री तस्मादहं विगतविक्लव ईश्वरस्य सर्वात्मना महि गृह्णामि यथा मनीषं नीचो जया गुणविसर्गमनुप्रविष्टा पूयेत येन हि पुमाननुवर्णितेन सर्वे ह्यमि विधिकरास्तव सत्त्वधाम्नो ब्रह्मादयो वयमिवेश न चोद्विजन्ता क्षेमाय भूतय उतात्मसुखाय चास्य विक्रीडितं भगवतो रुचिरावतारै तद्यच्छ मन्युमसुरश्च हतस्त्वयाद्यै मोदेत साधुरपि वृश्चिकसर्पहत्या लोकाश्च निर्वृतिमिता प्रतियन्ति सर्वे रूपं नृसिंहविभयाय जना स्मरन्ति नाहं बिभेम्यजिततेति भयानकास्य जिह्वार्कनेत्रभ्रुकुटीरभसोग्रदंष्ट्रात् आन्तर्स्रजा शतजकेशरशङ्कुकर्णान् निर्रादभीतदिगिभाद् अरिभिन्नखाग्रात् त्रस्तोऽस्म्यहं प्रकृपणवत्सलदुसहोग्रा संसारचक्रकदनाद्ग्रसतां प्रणीता बद्धस्वकर्मभिरुषत्वमतेऽङ्घ्रिमूलं प्रीतोपवर्गशरणं हव्यस्य कदानु यस्मात् प्रिया प्रियवियोगसंयोगजन्मा शोकाग्निना सकलयोनिषु दह्यमाना दुःखौषधं तदप्यथकमतद्धियाहं भूमन् भ्रमामि वद मे तव दास्ययोगम् सोऽहं प्रियस्य सुहृदा परदेवताया लीलाकथास्तव नृसिंहविरिञ्चि गीता अञ्जस्थितर्मि अनुगृह्णन् गुणविप्रमुक्तो दुर्गाणि ते पदयुगालय हंससङ्गा बालस्य नेह शरणं पितरो नृसिंहा नार्तस्य चागदमुदन्वति मज्जतौ नौ तप्तस्य तत्प्रतिविधिर्य इहाञ्जसेष्टस्तावद्विभो तनुभृतां त्वदुपेक्षितानाम् यस्मिन् यतो यरहि येन च यस्य यस्मात् यस्मै यथा यदुत यस्त्वपरापरो वा भावाकरोति विकरोति पृथक् स्वभावा सञ्चोदितस्तदखिलं भवता स्वरूपम् मायामना सृजति कर्ममयं बलिहा कालेन चोदितगुणानुमितेन पुंसा छन्दोमयं यदजयार्पितषोडशारं संसारचक्रमजकोटितरे त्वदन्या सत्वं हि नित्यविजितात्मगुणा स्वधाम्ना कालो वशीकृतविसृज्य विसर्गशक्ति चक्रे विसृष्टमजयेश्वर षोडशारे निष्पीड्यमानमुपकर्ष विभो प्रपन्नम् दृष्टा मया दिवि विभोऽखिलधिष्ण्यपानाम् आयुश्रियो विभव इच्छति याञ्जनोऽयं येऽस्मत्पितुकुपितहासविजृम्भितभ्रू विस्फुर्जितेन लुलिता सतु ते निरस्ता तस्मादमुस्तनुभृतामहमाशिषोज्ञा आयुश्रियं विभवमिन्द्रियमाविरिञ्चात् नेच्छामि ते विलुलितान् उरुविक्रमेण कालात्मनोपनय मां निजभृत्य पार्श्वम् कुत्राशिषा श्रुतिसुखा मृगतृष्णिरूपा वेदं कलेवरमशेषरुजां विरोहा निर्विद्यते न तु जनो यदपीति विद्वान् कामानलं मधुलवै शमयन् दुरापये क्वाहं रजा प्रभव ईशतमोऽधिकेऽस्मिन् जाता सुरेत्र कुले कवत्वानुकम्पा न ब्रह्मणो न तु भवस्य न वैरमाया यन्मेऽर्पिता शिरसि पद्मकरा प्रसादा नैषा परावरमतिर्भवतो ननु स्याज् जन्तोर्यथात्मसुहृदो जगतस्तथापि संसेवया सुरतरोरिव ते प्रसादा सेवानुरूपमुदयो न परावरत्वम् एवं जनं निपतितं प्रभवाहि कूपे कामाभिकाममनुया प्रपतन् प्रसङ्गात् कृत्वात्मसात् सुरर्षिणा भगवन् गृहीता सोऽहं कथं नु विसृजे तव वृत्यसेवाम् मत्प्राणरक्षणमनन्तपितुर्वधश्च मन्ये स्वभृत्य ऋषिवाक्यमृतं विधातुं खड्गं प्रगृह्य यदवचोदसदविधित्युस् त्वामीश्वरो मदपरो वतुकं हरामि एकस्त्वमेव जगदैतममुष्य यत्त्वम् आद्यन्तयो पृथगवस्यसि मध्यतश्च सृष्ट्वा गुणाव्यतिकरं निजमाययेदं नानेव तैरवसितस्तदनुप्रविष्टा त्वं वा इदं सदसदीश भवांस्ततोऽन्यो माया यदात्मपरबुद्धिरियं हि पार्था यद्यस्य जन्मनिधनं स्थितिरीक्षणं च तद्वै तदेव वसुकालवदष्टितर्वो नैषेदमात्मनि जगद्विलयाम्बुमध्ये शेषेत्मना निजसुखानुभवो निरीह योगेन्मिलितृगात्मनिपितनिद्रस्तुर्ये स्थितो न तु तमो न गुणांश्च युङ्क्षे तस्यैव ते वपुरिदं निजकालशक्त्या सञ्चोदितप्रकृतिधर्मण आत्मगूढम् अम्भस्यनन्तशयनाद्विरमत्समाधेर्नाभेरभूत्स्वकणिकावटवन्महाब्जम् तत्सम्भवा कविरतोऽन्यदपश्यमानस् त्वां बीजमात्मनि ततं स बहिर्विचिन्त्य नाविन्ददब्धशतमप्सु निमज्जमानो जात्यङ्कुरे कथमुहोपलभेत बीजम् सत्व आत्मयोनिरतिविस्मित आश्रितोऽब्जं कालेन तीव्रतपसा परिशुद्धभावा त्वामात्मनीश भुवि गन्धमिवातिसूक्ष्मं भूतेन्द्रियाश्यमये विततं ददर्श एवं सहस्रवदनाङ्गरिशिरकरोरु नासादय कर्णनयनाभरणायुधाढ्यं मायामयं सदुपलक्षितसन्निवेशं दृष्ट्वा महापुरुषमापमुदं विरिञ्च तस्मै भवान् हयशिरस्तनुवं हि बिभ्रत् વેદ દ્રુહાવ અતિબલાવ મધુકૈટબાખ્યો હત્વાનયત શ્રુતિગણાંશ રજસ્તમશ્ચ સત્વં તવ પ્રિયતમાં તનુમાત્મનંતિ ઇત્થં ઋતિર્યગ ઋષિ દેવજશાવતારૈર લોકાન વિભાવયસી હંસી જગત પ્રતિપાન ધર્મં મહાપુરુષપાસી યુગાનુવૃત્તમ છન્ના કલૌ યદભવસ્ત્રિગોથ સત્વમ નૈતન્મનસ્તવ કથાસુ વિકુંઠનાથા સંપ્રીયતે દુરિતદુષ્ટમસાધુ તીવ્રમ કામાતુરં હર્ષશોકભયૈષણાર્થં તસ્મિन् કથં તવ ગતિં વિમૃશામિ દીના जिह्वैकतोच्युत विकर्षति मा वितृप्ता शिष्णोऽन्यतस्त्वगुदरं श्रवणं कुतश्चेत् घ्राणोऽन्यतश्च फलदृक् च कर्मशक्तिर्बहव्या सपत्न्यैव गेहपतिं लुनन्ति एवं स्वकर्मपतितं भववैतरण्याम् अन्योन्यया जन्ममरणाशनभीतभीतं पश्यज्ञजन्मन्मैत्रं हन्तेति पारचरपिप्रीः मूढमध्या कोन्वत्र तेऽखिलगुरो भगवन् प्रयासा उत्तारणेऽस्य भवसम्भवलोपहेतो मूढेषु वै महदनुग्रह आर्तबन्धो किं तेन ते प्रियजनाननुसेवतां न नैवो द्विजे परदुरत्यावतरण्यास् त्वद्वीर्यगायनमहामृतमग्नचित्ता शोचे ततो विमुखचेतस इन्द्रियार्था मायासुखाय भरमुद्वहतो विमूढान् प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतोऽनुपश्ये यन्मैथुनादिगृहमेधि सुखं हि तुच्छं कण्डूअनेन करयोरिव दुःखदुःखं तृप्यन्ति नेह कृपणा बहुदुःखभाजा कण्डूतिवन्मनसिजं विषहेत धीरा मौनव्रतश्रुततपोऽध्ययन स्वधर्मा व्याख्यारहो जपसमाधय आपवर्ग्या प्रायः परं पुरुष ते त्वजितेन्द्रियाणां वार्ता भवन्त्युत नावार्ततु दाम्भिकानां रूपे इमे सदसति तव वेदसृष्टे बीजाङ्कुराव इव न चान्यदरूपकस्य युक्ता समक्षमुभयत्र विचक्षन्ते तां योगेन वहनिमिव दारुषु नान्यता स्यात् त्वं वायुरग्निरवनिर्वियदम्बुमात्रा प्राणेन्द्रियाणि हृदयं चिदनुग्रहश्च सर्वं त्वमेव सगुणो विगुणश्च भूमन् नान्यत्वदस्ति अपि मनो वचसा निरुक्तम् नैते गुणा न गुणिनो महदादयो ये सर्वे मना प्रभृतया सह देवमर्त्या आद्यन्तवन्त उरुगाय विदन्ति त्वाम् एवं विमृश्य सुधियो विरमन्ति शब्दात् तत्तेर्हत्मनमस्तुतिकरम पूजा कर्म स्मृतिश्चरणयो श्रवणं कथायां संसेवया त्वयि विनेति षडङ्गया किं भक्तिं जना परमहंसगतो लभेता। श्रीनारद उवाच एतावद्वर्णितो गुणो भक्त्या भक्तेन निर्गुणा प्रहरादं प्रणतं प्रीतो यत्मन्युरभाषत। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Now we'll have Bhagavatam class by His Grace Shri Kumar Prabhu. Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Yes, it's good. It's good. Yes. Yes. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. On behalf of Shri Shri Radhamandan Mohanji, Shriman Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Lakshmi Narsingadev Bhagwanji, Srila Prabhupada, I welcome you all very, very happily into ISKCON of Silicon Valley's Saturday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you very much for joining us here. With your permissions, I seek all your permissions and your blessings to speak a little on Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the most beautiful scripture that is present with us. So I request your permissions. So what we do is we start with a small invocation song, which our parampara has given us, and then we'll move forward along with that. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari जय जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनन्दना जय वजनरञ्जना जय यशोदना जय रञ्जन जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यम तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनन्दना जय ब्रजनरञ्जना जय जय यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ए.सी. भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की ISKCON BBT संस्थापक आचार्य डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस शील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद जी की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की। श्री श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की। श्री श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की। गंगमयी की, यमुनमयी की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की, सामवेद भक्तवृंद की, श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, शिलप्रपात ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, शिलप्रपात ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, श्री हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन जी की, देयर मोस्ट मर्सिफुल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन जी की, देयर मोस्ट मर्सिफुल लॉर्डशिप श्रीमान महाप्रभु की, देयर मोस्ट मर्सिफुल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Thank you, Premanande Hari Bhava. Thank you again thank you for assisting with the wonderful Mridanga and Kartal. That helps a lot. Thank you. So today, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Today's the verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, verse number 10. Sorry, I'm confused. Canto 2, chapter 10, verse number 1. This is the beautiful canto. This is the exact book from which we are reading. Of course, we are casting it out there, but this is the exact Srimad Bhagavatam from which we are reading, Canto 2. So, I believe you are familiar with this thing. On how we do is we will try to read these the verse one line at a time, and I read and you can repeat, and then we will go through the transliteration. That's basically the first one is the transliteration. Second one is the word to word meaning. We'll go through the word to word meaning. We'll read the and then the translation and the purport, and then we'll move forward on it. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayah. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayah. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayah Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayah. Prabhus? One.
Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayah.
Shri Shuka Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayah.
You can try. We'll help you.
Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sunam Posanam Utaya
Sthanam Poshanamutayah
Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Mukta Ashraya.
Nirodho Muktir Ashrayaha. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Shri Sukha Uvacha
Shri Sukha Uvacha
Atra Sargo Visargascha
Atra Sargo Visargascha
Sthanam Poshanam Uttayaha
Sthanam Poshanamutayaha
Manvantare Sanukata
Manvantare Shanukata
Nirodho Muktirashrayaha.
Nirodho Muktirashrayaha. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone would like to try one more? And then we can. Shri Sukha Uvacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutayaha Manvantare Shanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayaha. Thank you so much. So we'll read the word-to-word meanings now. You can repeat after me. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Sukadeva Goswami said, Atra, in this Srimad Bhagavatam, Sargaha, statement of the creation of the universe. Visargaha, statement of sub-creation. Cha, also. Sthanam, the planetary systems. Poshanam, protection. Utayaha, the creative impetus. Manvantara, changes of Manus. Ishanukata, the signs of God. Nirodha, going back home, back to Godhead. Muktihi, liberation. Ashrayaha, the Samam Bonam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. So this translation goes, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 10 divisions of statements regarding the following: the creation of the universe, sub-creation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, the signs of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam again, Canto 2, Chapter 10, verse number 1. This particular verse does not have a purport given by Srila Prabhupada. In the usual Srimad Bhagavatam class, if a particular verse does not have a purport, we move to the next verse and we read that verse and we read the purport and move forward. But today, we take this chance to try to get a bird's eye view or an overview of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. At least that's what we planned for today. Especially because this particular verse, as is mentioned here, Attra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayaha Manvantareshanukata Nirodho Muktirashrayaha. There are 10 topics that are being mentioned by Sri Sukadeva Goswami here, that these are the 10 topics that are available in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Like we understand, Srimad Bhagavatam consists of 12 cantos. It consists of, in those 12 cantos, there are 335 chapters, and in those 335 chapters overall, there are 18,000 verses in this amazing scripture. So this, in all of these 12 cantos, there are these 10 topics that are present, and that is what Srila Sukadeva Goswami is bringing out in this particular verse. And we will try to understand, at a high level, what are these 10 topics, and then we will also do a little bit correlation to something else, which will come next. But if you see here, Atra, basically here, Sukadeva Goswami and primarily Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the creation by the Supreme Lord Himself, how the Supreme Lord creates the universe. And then that's not Atra. Atra means in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sargo means creation. Visargas means the way secondary creation is created by Lord Brahma, the Prajapatis, and other folks that come through Lord Brahma. That is Visargas. Sthanam, how the living entities are present in different planetary systems. That's all explained. Poshanam, how the Supreme Lord takes care of every living entity. Utaya, Uti, which basically inclinations. What are the inclinations of every person? And based on the inclinations of every person, how things are handled. That is described. Manvantaras, or how, like in every day of Brahma, for example, in the English calendar that we follow, there is 365 days. In every day, there is 24 hours, 12 hours of the day, 12 hours of the night, and like that forms one day. And then we have 31 days. That 31 days forms a month, and 12 months forms a year. So this is the way the time is prescribed. In the same way, even the Vedic scriptures talk about time in a similar way, wherein Brahma, of course, this is called relativity of time, because today our one day might be the entire lifetime of an insect. For example, some of the insects are born, they live their lives, they reproduce, they grow old, and they die within 6 hours of our day. So their entire lifetime is just 6 hours of our day. So that itself we can see that there is relativity of time present in there. So if in our one day, if that living entity, this insect, can go through its entire lifetime, that means it's simple interpolation to understand that maybe, that is from outward thinking, it is a maybe, but we know from Vedic scriptures that it is for sure, that our lifetime is probably just a day for entities which are in higher planetary systems. That correlation just shows that. And that is where Brahma, that's where it's described as to Brahmaji is Lord Brahma, who's the first created being from Mahavishnu or Sri Krishna. His one day equals 1,000 Mahayugas. And 1,000 Mahayugas means one Mahayuga consists of 4 yugas. What is Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali yugas. So that's about, Kali Yuga itself is 432,000 years. Treta Yuga is 3 times that, Dwapara Yuga is 2 times that, and Satya Yuga is 4 times that. So together all of that forms one Mahayuga. And 1,000 such Mahayugas forms just one single day of Brahma. And in that one single day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus that are created. And all the everything about those 14 Manus is praised in this Manvantara stuff, which Srimad Bhagavatam explains in the, I guess it's in the 8th canto. Then of course the change of the Manus. Then the next aspect is the science of God, which is Katha is basically the entire dynasty, the sun dynasty, the moon dynasty, everything is described. Nirodha is basically, so Sarga and Visarga was creation, Nirodha will be destruction, and how things are put back, recycled primarily. And Muktir talks about liberation, and Ashray is the complete shelter, which is mentioned. So these are all the different topics that are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is also explained or glorified in other Puranas, which talk about, which glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. One such Purana is Padma Puran. So we'll just go through this particular verse of Padma Puran, which is very beautiful. It says, Padho yadiyo pratama dvitiyo. You can repeat after me. Padho yadiyo pratama dvitiyo. Tritiya turyo katitau yaduru. Nabhistata panchama eva shashto. Bhujantaram doryugalam tatanyo. Kantastu rajan navamo yadiyo. Mukharavindam dasama prafullam. Ekadaso yasya lalatapatam. Siropti tu dvadasa eva bhati. So here in this particular verse from Padma Puran, this talks about how every canto or how different cantos of this Srimad Bhagavatam relates to the transcendental limbs of the transcendental body of Sri Krishna, where it says Pado Yadiyo Pratama Dvitiya. That means the 2 lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead relates to the first 2 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first 2 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam is referenced as Pado Yadiyo. Tritiya Turyo Katitau Yaduru. That is third and the fourth canto refers to the thighs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nabhis tata panchama eva. Nabhis tata panchama. The navel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead represents the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shashto Bhujantaram. So between the two arms is the seventh canto. It recites, that's primarily the chest of the Supreme Lord. And and the two arms of the Supreme Lord are the eighth cantos. And then Kantastu Raja Navamo Yadiyo. Kantastu Raja, the throat is the ninth canto. Mukharavindam is the Dashama Prafullam. That is, the Mukharavindam is the lotus face of the Supreme Lord, is the 10th canto. Ekadaso Yasya Lalata Patam, which is the forehead of the Supreme Lord, is the 11th canto. Siropi Tu Dvadasha Eva Bhati, which is the head of the Supreme Lord, is the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way, Padma Puran explains there are all of these 12 cantos are associated to the limbs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it goes ahead and says this way: Tamadi Devam Karuna Nidhanam Didevam Karuna Nidhan Tamalavarnam Suhitavataram Apara Samsara Samudra Setum Bhajami Bhagavata Swarupam Bhajamahe Bhagavata Swarupam. So here it explains how Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Apara Samsara Samudra Setum. It talks that this entire ocean, it's a bridge that can cross us through this entire ocean and connect us take us back to Godhead. So that's a beautiful aspect of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I forget, let me see. Okay, yeah. So yeah, as we move forward, I just also want to bring out 3 different aspects on why we read Srimad Bhagavatam. So first thing is, it's simply, today I'm also presenting whatever I've heard from my predecessors and Acharya. So it's nothing that I've come up with. It's just I've heard and repeating it. And so here it's like eating prasadam, like reading Srimad Bhagavatam. At least this is another thing that has been presented. For example, probably what did you eat yesterday? Or day before yesterday? Anything? What did you eat yesterday or day before yesterday? Anything? Upma. Great, perfect. So today if we serve upma again, will you eat it? Yes, thank you. That's nice to hear. Yes. How about yourself, Prabhuji? Same upma? Very nice. Today if it is served again, will you eat it? Yes. Happily. Yes, thank you. Madhav, what did you eat yesterday? Masala dosa. Will you eat it again today? Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. So this is basically prasadam. We might eat that day and maybe yesterday and maybe before, but if it is presented again to us, we will eat it again, and it will also nourish us also. It's not that, oh, I ate masala dosa yesterday and so today masala dosa is not going to nourish me. No, because I eat it, it will nourish me. Similarly, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing our Vedic literatures will nourish us again and again. So we might have heard it before, we might have heard the pastimes, we might have heard the stories before, but when we hear it again, it will nourish us again. So every time we hear it, it will keep nourishing us. So that's where the thing of comings of, which is the beautiful verse from Bhagavatam, anyone can help me, which says, Nitya Nashta Prayasha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So Nityam Bhagavata Seva. That's why the aspect comes in as to, we need to regularly recite, read and listen. And exactly as how we eat, and it does not, we'll always be satisfied even if we eat the same thing again. Similarly, reading and listening to Srimad Bhagavatam again and again satisfies us. The other aspect of reading to the importance or glories of Srimad Bhagavatam is, when Srimad Bhagavatam was originally spoken, Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, and in the assembly was Narada Muni, Vyasadev, all the great acharyas were present, and they had already known everything, but still they came and listened to Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's the glories that's the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the beauty. So it does not, I have no qualification to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, but simply it's because this is, it's a highly qualified scripture, so we get a chance to hear and listen, and we will definitely get purified. It's both the speaker and the listener gets purified by listening to. So with that, I'll go forward and we'll connect on the correlation between these things, like between how in how the Srimad Bhagavatam, how all the 10 cantos are correlated with, we saw from the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw how it is connected to the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and from the Padma Puran, we saw how it's connected to the different limbs of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is in gist an entire overview, a bird's eye view of how Srimad Bhagavatam is structured. As you can see, the first and the second canto will quickly go through, or the idea for today is that we'll go through all of these 12 cantos at the top level so that we can understand what are the, it's like the table of contents of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Just go through, and this bird's eye view gives us a picture. The goal is to inspire us to read. Once we know all of these things, we can, it will at least inspire us and inspire me, I'm hoping, to read it and reread it and reread it, go through these things. So as you say, the first and the second cantos, it is reference to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In here, introduction to the entire Srimad Bhagavatam is given. So it's a prelude to the entire Bhagavatam is given in in the first canto, wherein what is the philosophy behind Srimad Bhagavatam, what are the stories or what are the characters that are going to come in the Srimad Bhagavatam have been introduced here, like Maharaj Parikshit, the Pandavas, then Sukadeva Goswami, all of that is introduced and their backstories are told. So basically it sets a stage. It sets a stage for understanding the entire rest of the 12 cantos. And in the second canto, again it continues, wherein Sukadeva Goswami sets up some more things with respect to what is bhakti, what is the process, how do you process, follow, and the parts of sarga and visarga is also mentioned. So, and as is said, in the entire Bhagavatam, all the cantos, all the different topics are present, but certain topics are kind of emphasized in certain cantos. Just like in our lives, there is, every day begins new with the sun rising and things. But then there is one special day in the year. What is that for each one of us? Comes out? Yeah, birthday. Perfect. So that's one day. It's the same day, but it's a special day. Similarly, the whole Bhagavatam has all of these topics, but then every canto emphasizes one particular topic which brings out that very more emphatically. So that's the thing. So that's, and then the third and the fourth cantos, which refers to the thighs of the Lord, Sarga and Visarga, which is creation and creation by the Supreme Lord, then the secondary creation by Lord Brahma, everything else, those things are described. And Canto 5, actually, I think that text is too small for me. Hopefully, you guys, can you see it? Okay, that's good. Maybe, yeah, thing of becoming old. Yes, Canto 5 refers to the navel of the Lord, wherein Sthana, basically the geography of the entire universe, description of how every planetary systems, how are they present, how the living entities are placed in different planetary systems, all of that is explained. And Canto 6, which is Poshana, which refers to the Lord's protection of the people who transgress on the laws of karma and is also devotees. Basically, how the Lord protects his devotees as well as those who might not be listening to him. So Krishna, doesn't approve of certain things that we might do, but he doesn't give up on us. He's always there trying to help us and trying to bring us back. So all of that is brought up there. Then Uti in chapter 7, this talks about the descriptions of auspicious and inauspicious inclinations. How Prahlad Maharaj had all auspicious inclinations, how Hiranyakashipu had inauspicious inclinations, how the pastimes and the stories, all of that stuff comes out in the 7th canto. Then in the 8th canto, the Manvantaras, the dynasties of all the Manus, the activities of the Lord during the various Manus, and is very nicely explained in the 8th canto. 9th canto, Ishanukatha. This is the entire dynasty of this. There are two primary dynasties that are explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Surya Vamsha and then the Chandra Vamsha, which is the Sun dynasty and the Moon dynasty, and which are the kings who have come in those Sun dynasty, which are the kings who have come in the Moon dynasty, all of that is also explained. Okay, and then Ishanukatha, and then in Canto 10, this is Ashraya, the Lord Krishna's complete pastimes of Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka, Hastinapur, in Krishna's opulences, all of that is very beautifully presented. And in Canto 11, which is the forehead, Mukti or liberation, the different Mukti basically is how a living entity gets out of this attachment to material body, gets out of the circle of birth and death. That aspect is brought out. And in Canto 12, which is Nirodha, the 4 kinds of universal annihilation, or so Sarga and Visarga was how creation was done, and Nirodha is how destruction happens. All of that is brought about. And of course, the liberation of Parikshit and activities of Markandeya Muni. There are multiple other things that come about. But this is the entire gist of the different, here we have only the 2 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, but as we know, there are 12 books, 18 books, 12 different cantos. All of these together constitute the entire gamut or the ripened fruit of Vedic wisdom. Like, you don't, to study Sanskrit itself, it might take 12 years to study Sanskrit. And to study all the Vedas and the scriptures, it will take even many, many more years. And we don't have so much time in our lives. But just by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we can get that entire knowledge. And that entire stuff is what is present in these amazing books. And that's why when we keep these books in our homes and we read it regularly, pretty much we have access to everything that is needed to help us be successful in our lives. So that's the beauty of this thing. Okay, so we'll start off with, I'll try to go through. So we'll start with in the first canto, first chapter, 3 verses. The first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are very beautiful verses. They present the kind of a very nice prelude to the entire Bhagavatam. The first verse says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya to Anvayaditrataschatteshva Vignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye Muyyanti Yat Surayah Tejo Vari Mritamita Vinimayo Yatrati Sargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirastakuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. The second verse says, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Sivadam Tapatrayon Moolanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kimva Parairishvara Sadhyo Hridi Avarudyate Atra Kritibihi Shushrushibish Tachanat. And the third verse says, Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam Sukamukadamruta Drava Samyutam Pipata Bhagavata Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvibhavukaha. So these 3 verses, they start off with the prelude. In the first verse, it talks about our relationship or sambandha as to who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and what is our relationship to the Supreme Personality of God. That is very perfectly established in the first verse. And the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is so very important that, as I have heard, there are 108 purports or descriptions given by different acharyas for the first verse itself. And the first verse itself, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as I heard, gave 30 days he spoke on the same verse. Every word, different aspects can be brought out. So that, but the primary thing that it establishes is our relationship with Krishna as to who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and our relationship with him. And the second verse, Dharma Projita Kaitavatro. So it says, leave every other dharma, just focus on this Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then there is a synonymous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Which one would that be? Could you, please? That would be nice.
Sarvadharman paritijya mamekam sharanam raja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshishyami mashucha.
Thank you. Yes. So Krishna at the end of Bhagavad Gita says Sarvadharman parityaja. So that's the end of Bhagavad Gita. And the starting of Bhagavatam says Dharma Projita Kaitavatro. Drop every other dharma. So basically that means where Bhagavad Gita is ending, Srimad Bhagavatam is starting off. And it says Dharma Projita Kaitavatro Paramo. So just it establishes devotional service. It's basically Abhidheya aspect. It's established how we can establish in a process by which we can connect to our supreme friend, who is the best friend forever. BFF, for hashtag BFF, as we always say. Actually, Krishna is our hashtag BFF forever. So that's where, and verse 2 establishes that. And verse 3 establishes Nigama Kalpataror. This is the best ripened fruit of Vedic wisdom. And this basically gives us Krishna Prema. So just in the first 3 verses, Bhagavatam establishes that it will allow us to establish our relationship with Krishna. It will give us a process by which we can establish our relationship to Krishna. And it also says what is the fruit of that process. The fruit is we become happy eternally forever, being in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the first 3 verses bring up that aspect. So with that, I will take a break here for a moment. See if you have any questions or any thoughts, Hare Krishna. Any thoughts you want to share before we go into the different subject matters presented in all the different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam? Anyone, any points or any thoughts, any reflections? So basically we can avoid a monologue here. That's the only thing. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for picking up this topic. I always wonder about this verse. So this verse has so much to unpack. There are 10 subject matters. So I was always confused what each word means. So thank you for taking a session on this particular verse.
Thank you.
I also like the example of how you mentioned prasadam nourishes our body every day. Similarly, when we read these stories or these descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam, they nourish our soul spiritually every day. So it's very easy to relate.
Great.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you. So actually, you also mentioned the word unpack. I remember from that one more thing. So basically, as you see Srimad Bhagavatam, we said this verse, right? We saw this verse. Every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, like it's basically written in Sanskrit. It's like a zipped file. So zip file, basically, you can, once you unzip the file, basically you can get the entire contents out of it. So that all these verses are just in 4 lines. They zip up a lot of things. And so that unpacking, when we do, like by hearing from the purports of Srila Prabhupada who has explained it, it makes it much, much more easier for us to understand what is present in these verses. So that's why every verse, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, of course today we are going through an overview, but when usual everyday Srimad Bhagavatam class, we take one verse, we go deep into the verse, and we understand, we try to unravel it as more and more. And actually Srimad Bhagavatam, this is a side thing I want to mention, it also gives a lot of innovative things that you can think about, because just by, like I was inspired to see that this whole aspect of zipping itself, this verse can be unzipped, basically it can be expanded for one day, or it can be expanded for an hour, it can be expanded for a day, or it can be expanded and explained for a whole month. So that's the power that's present in these verses, and there's so much content in here. So of course, so we do it according to the time, place and circumstance we are there. So we try to do it in an hour and understand it, but as we go more and more deeper, we can go do a lot more justice to this. Okay, with that we'll just start ahead. Anyone else? Else we will continue. Okay, so we'll continue with Canto 1. So Canto 1. So the Canto 1, this is Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this verse, this chapter is, this canto is the concepts and the history of Srimad Bhagavatam is present here as to how did it come into place. It sets the scene, basically. And the setting of the scene is that Parikshit Maharaj is cursed, and Parikshit Maharaj has renounced everything, and he's about to, he's gone to the bank of the Ganges, and then Sukadeva Goswami comes, and he's about to describe to him how one can make oneself ready to leave the world. And of course, through this, it will also explain the history of Bhagavatam. What are the characters actually? Like in this, Sukadeva Goswami is introduced, Brahmaji is introduced, the Pandavas are introduced, and you have, who else? Pandavas are introduced, and Bhishma Dev is introduced, Kunti Maharani is introduced, the Sukadeva, and of course Parikshit Maharaj is introduced, who is the grandson of Arjuna, and all their backstories, their characters, the backstories, everything is wonderfully explained. And the other thing that also comes out as to what motivated Vyasadeva to write Srimad Bhagavatam. That also comes out in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it says, like Vyasadeva, he wanted to compile, basically in Treta Yugas, you could just memorize everything and nothing had to be written. Everything was memorized and word to word memorized, and that's how you used to go from one person to the other person. But then Vyasadeva realized that as Kali Yuga progresses, our memory will go low. So then he wanted to compile all of the Vedic literature. So he compiled the Vedas, he compiled the Puranas, but then he still was not satisfied. And that's when Srila Narada Muni visited him, and who's his guru, who's his spiritual master. He visited him and he told him that you have explained everything but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the devotional service. So that's when he understood it, and then he realized it and writes Srimad Bhagavatam. So that whole story, all of that, the pastimes are present in the first canto. First canto also has beautiful prayers by various devotees. There is Kunti Maharani's prayers, there is Bhishma Dev prayers, there is Arjuna's prayers, there is Uttara's prayers, there is all the Dwarkavasis prayers. When the Dwarkavasis were seeing Krishna coming back to them, and all the prayers, all of these prayers are very nicely explained in the first canto. So I think that's the kind of introduction to the first canto, and it sets the stage. We'll move forward. The second canto talks about Krishna Bhakti. So here, almost at the end of the first canto, Sukadeva Goswami was introduced, and then Parikshit Maharaj is introduced, and Parikshit Maharaj is now going to ask Sukadeva Goswami a few questions. Actually, he asks him two specific questions. What should you hear, chant and meditate upon during your life, and what should you hear, chant and meditate upon at the end of our life? So how do you live in our life, and how do you live? How do you live and how do you live? These two questions are asked, and in response to these two questions, Sukadeva Goswami explains Canto 2, wherein he brings out two biggest philosophies. One is the aspect of bhakti, as bhakti is the soul. Everything actually is in bhakti. Actually, this also comes out in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which says, Savai Pumsham Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidhati. It says the best occupation of all times is devotional service, and it has to be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. That aspect comes out, and the other aspect which also comes out is that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Could someone share that verse? Ete Chamsa. Do you want to? Anyone? Thank you.
Ete chamsa kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridyanti Yuge Yuge.
Thank you. So this verse says, Ete chamsa kalapamsa. That there are many expansions, plenary expansions, expansions of expansions. But of all of the avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's just one Supreme Source, and that is Krishna himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That aspect brings out. And so Sukadeva Goswami in Canto 2 explains and brings out all these aspects. And then he also goes ahead and explains Ashtanga Yoga, how Virata Rupa, how you can meditate upon the Virata Rupa and how this whole universal creation happens. So all of these is expanded. This again is explained that Sukadeva Goswami tries to explain all of this is to put things in context. That if you, let's say you have some golden jewelry, very nice shining jewelry, and you want, which we offer to Radha Madan Mohanji, but if it's kept on a steel plate, pretty much in that background, that shine of the golden jewelry does not come out. But let's say you take a beautiful plate and then put a velvet cloth on it, which can be purple, green color, with the dark background, and you keep the jewelry on it, the jewelry shines out. So in that aspect, in Canto 2, where Sukadeva Goswami presented Ashtanga Yoga, Virata Rupa, and all of that stuff, but along with that, he presented Bhakti Yoga, and in that background, Bhakti Yoga shines up, saying that finally, when one goes to the spiritual world, it's only persons who are engaged in Bhakti Yoga, they are there. It's not that they follow Ashtanga Yoga or anything else there. It's in the spiritual world, simply devotional, just loving service to Krishna is present. So that aspect is explained. that kind of comes out in Canto 2. And of course, some parts of Sarga, Visarga is also present in Canto 2. And let's see, what else? Yeah, only devotees in the spiritual world. So basically, only Bhakti Yoga will take us to the spiritual world. And there is also beautiful prayers offered by Sukadeva Goswami himself. He on the consciousness of a speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam. That again, if we want to learn, even I have to read it better to understand it. So the consciousness of a speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam comes out there. And then the 4 seed verses by the Supreme Lord, which the Supreme Lord directly tells to Lord Brahma. 4 seed verses, which is called the Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam. Those, so basically, again, this if you see is the zipping aspect. Supreme Lord just mentioned 4 verses, and then Brahmaji expanded on those verses, and then Vyasadeva expanded on those verses, and we have 18,000 verses. That's the beautiful aspect of how it is contained. For example, just to get some context, in the modern day world, for example, if you have a zip file, and I unzip it, and you get the photos, and you see all the different photos. But if I unzip it at a second level, you will get the movie or the video that is associated with that zip file, like with those characters present there. And if I unzip it at the third level, then you not only get the video, but you get, for every character, you get the information about all those characters. Primarily all this artificial intelligence, data mining that is coming into picture, all of that stuff, like just by zipping at different levels, you can get. So that is all our technology is just a copy of what has already existed in our Vedic literature. So this is how these verses are kept. So they are kind of, so the Chatushloki Bhagavatam was expanded over all of, from Brahmaji and then so on and so forth. So that's the primary aspects of the Canto 2. In the third canto, Sarga and Visarga is primarily explained. That is the creation by Brahmaji, creation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then the secondary creation by Brahma and the Prajapatis and everything else is explained. But the beautiful, some of the nice stories that come about, we'll just touch on a few things here. Canto 3 begins with Uddhava or Vidura. For folks who know Mahabharata, Vidura is a minister in Hastinapur. He is the half brother of Pandava and Pandu and Dhritarashtra Maharaj. Of course, almost towards the end, Duryodhana insults Vidura and he says, I want to send you out of this kingdom. Just because you have done some work for our kingdom, I leave you with your breath. So I'm not going to kill you, just get away from here. So Vidura accepts and he moves away. He goes on a pilgrimage. When he goes on a pilgrimage, first he meets Uddhava. And he inquires from Uddhava, how is our Yadu family? How is Krishna? How is the Yadus? How are the dynasty? But by that time, actually, Krishna had already departed. So Uddhava becomes completely grief-stricken. All of that is explained in the third canto. Uddhava becomes completely grief-stricken. He is thinking about all of the pastimes of Krishna, and almost a summary study of the entire 10th canto is present in this section of the third canto, where Uddhava explains to Vidura all the different pastimes of Krishna. And then Vidura hears that and he's so happy. He says, Uddhava, you have so much knowledge. Can you please become my spiritual master? Teach me on this aspect of bhakti. Then Uddhava explains to Vidura that, you are, actually when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, spoke this knowledge to me, there was another sage, another wonderful sage, Maitreya, who was also listening to it. So, and you are elder to me, and Maitreya Muni is also elder to me. So it will be better if you get this knowledge from Maitreya Muni. And I also have the responsibility of going to Badrikashrama, because Krishna said that throughout his lifetime, the only place he could not go was Badrikashrama and give his message to the sages of Badrikashram. So Krishna has given me this work that now I have to go and tell the sages in Badrikashram. So you speak to Maitreya, and that's when the entire pastimes or the entire dialogue between Vidura and Maitreya happens. And Vidura goes and speaks with Maitreya, and Maitreya explains so many other things. He talks about Varahadev, he talks about the explanation, actually, how the Vaikunta, how is it present? What are the details of the Vaikunta is all explained in this particular canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's where we understand, really, every word is a song, every step is a dance, all of that, and more explanations of Vaikunta is present in the third canto. And the other thing Maitreya explains to Vidura is about the Manus, the first Manu, which is Swayambhu Manu, who was basically Lord Brahmaji created Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa. Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa, with their marriage, they had 5 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. The 2 sons were Priyavrat and Uttanapad, and the 3 daughters were Prasuti, Akuti and Devahuti. So in this third canto, Devahuti's dynasty, or Devahuti is explained more. How Devahuti is married to Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni, who is the son of Brahma, he is blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be perfect in his devotional life, to get perfection in his devotional life. So Devahuti is married to Kardama Muni, and then from their marriage, 9 daughters are born, and after the 9 daughters, 1 son is born, and that son is named Kapiladev, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. This is the incarnation of Kapiladev, and Kapiladev then teaches what is this? Oh, I missed. Sankhya philosophy, sorry, yeah. So Kapiladev teaches Sankhya philosophy to his own mother. As you can see, Kapiladev is teaching the whole Sankhya philosophy to his mother Devahuti, and in which he explains the aspects of how matter and spirit are explained. The scientifically analytical study of matter and spirit is done. Devotional service is even further explained, and finally the supremacy of devotional service comes about in Canto 3. Okay, let me see. Yeah, those are the different things. The other aspect that also is spoken about in Canto 3 is when Diti wanted at a wrong time wanted to unite with Kashyapa Muni, and how because of that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born, and then of course then Hiranya, a little bit more on Hiranyaksha and how Varahadev came and how he helped liberate Hiranyaksha, things like that. All that is explained in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. With that, we'll move forward. Fourth canto, again, very beautiful stories. I mean, throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, you can see amazing stories. Of the entire Vedic literature is presented in a story format. Bhagavad Gita, if you see, is philosophy, but Srimad Bhagavatam is both philosophy in a story format. So it becomes easy for us to listen it, read it, understand it, and actually apply it in our own lives. So that's where it excels. In Canto 4, the dynasties of Akuti and Prasuti, these are explained. And it starts with the first 7 chapters talks about Prasuti, and Prasuti is married to Daksha, and she has 16 daughters. The last daughter of which is Sati, who is Sati. And Sati, Daksha finally agrees to marry to Lord Shiva. Of course, he doesn't like it, but on Brahmaji's request, he marries Sati to Daksha. Sorry, I have to confuse myself. Sorry about that. He marries Sati to Lord Shiva. And at one such, when at a place where all the different sages and everyone was present, Daksha arrives in that ceremony. And when he arrives, everyone arises except 2 people. One is Lord Brahma, who does not arise, and then Lord Shiva. Brahma does not arise because he is the father of Daksha. And Lord Shiva is meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he could not arise. But because of this, Daksha Prajapati becomes very, very angry. He feels insulted because he has a kind of a superiority complex that he is the father-in-law, because he's given his daughter to Lord Shiva. He has that superiority complex that this son-in-law of mine should be respecting me. But he doesn't understand, I mean, he didn't at that point understand the significance of Lord Shiva. But because he becomes angry and he curses Lord Shiva. And of course, Lord Shiva is tolerant. He does not say anything. Then, of course, Nandi curses back to Daksha. And there are some curses exchanged. But finally, Lord Shiva leaves the place. Then what happens? Then there is another sacrifice that Daksha is organizing, and in this sacrifice he specifically does not invite Lord Shiva and Sati. But because Sati is the daughter of Daksha and she feels it's her maternal home, she wants to go. Lord Shiva says, don't go, you will not be given full respect, but she still goes. And when she goes, she sees that they don't respect her, and then they insult Lord Shiva. And at this point of time, Sati becomes very, very aggrieved, saying that, oh, I have heard so many bad things about Lord Shiva. This is absolutely not good. This body, because of which I am connected to Daksha, and because of which I'm hearing all this is completely now polluted. And she basically invokes the fire element in her body and immolates herself. And so when so she goes away, so she dies, and then Lord Shiva becomes very angry, and from he creates Virabhadra, and when he sends Virabhadra, and Virabhadra beheads Daksha. And then finally, of course, Lord Brahma comes and he pacifies Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva resurrects Daksha and he gives him a goat head. And then Daksha, of course, continues his life and things were. But that entire story, pastimes are all explained. Daksha, Sati and Shiva pastimes are mentioned there. That's in the 4th canto. It goes up to the first 7 chapters. All of these are explained. Then the dynasty of Uttanapada, who is the one of the sons of Swayambhu Manu. That is explained. Uttanapada had 2 wives. One was Suruchi, the other was Suniti. And Suruchi had a son called Uttama, and Suniti had a son called Dhruva. So at one point of time, Uttama was sitting on the lap of his father when he was sitting on his throne, and Dhruva also came and he wanted to sit on the lap of his father as well. But then Suruchi just declined him. She said that, she actually insulted him, and she said, you have to be born from my womb to be able to be sitting on the lap of your father. And of course, Uttanapada also did not, help out Dhruva at that point of time. And Dhruva Maharaj got really, it was Kshatriya. He got a lot of insulted. And then he went back to his mother, Suniti, and he was talking to her. And she said that, only by the pleasure, only when you please Krishna, that you will be able to get what you want. And Dhruva Maharaj was such an angry mood that he said that, I don't even want my father's throne. I don't even want my grandfather's throne. Don't even want my great-grandfather's throne. I want even more than that. So then Suniti said, okay, the only way is you pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how do you do that? You go to the forest at that point of time. So then at 5 years old, he goes to the forest and trying to find out how do you do that. And Narada Muni comes and he tests, is Dhruva Maharaj, really think for it? And then he asks, and then when he sees that Dhruva Maharaj is really passionate for this, then he gives him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Beautiful mantra. He explains him that mantra, he explains him the deity worship process, and within 6 months, Dhruva Maharaj becomes successful, and he's able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then of course he realizes that what he was going behind was just broken pieces of glass, and because he's now got the direct darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that entire story of Dhruva Maharaj is explained in Canto 4. And then through the dynasty of Dhruva Maharaj comes another king called Anga, who's Anga, and then his son Vena. And Anga was a very good king, but Vena was a very, very bad king. And of course, then what happens? The Brahmanas, through their powerful mantras, they are able to kill Vena. And then through the churning of the body of Vena, Maharaj Prithu comes. And Maharaj Prithu is the supreme, again, an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he basically, Mother Earth becomes very, very auspicious with Maharaj Prithu's presence, and amazing things happen in this earth with Maharaj Prithu's presence. So all of that pastimes is present there. And then some more on Prachina Barahi and their sons, Prachetas, all of that explanations come about in Canto 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's something. Again, we'll take a quick pause here. And yeah, into the Canto 4, vividly, basically, we understand that Bhakti is the supreme path. Through all of these examples that we are mentioned here, what finally comes out of Canto 4 is that Bhakti is the supreme path by which we can perfect our lives. So that one comes up. Yes. Any thoughts or reflections so far before we move forward with the rest of the cantos? Just a summary. I know this might be an overview, too much knowledge as well, too much things. Yes, please.
Yeah, it is somewhat overwhelming, lot of information.
Yes.
But I really like the example which you gave for the golden jewelry, offering golden jewelry to the deities. When we bring it in a silver plate, we cannot contrast it. But when we have a nice dark velvet cloth, the the shine or the gold comes out much better. So similarly, this explanation of Bhakti Yoga in itself is nice, but when it is contrasted with Ashtanga Yoga process and the other yogas, that then we can understand the real beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, that was a beautiful example.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is all coming from from folks who have heard they have explained it, and that's a cool thing. That's a good thing about when we see sometimes in Canto 2, for example, especially when you go into reading the universal form, the Virata Rupa, and how the whole creation and all of it kind of gets tough sometimes to read. But then when we go through this and we at least some point of time when we get the higher picture, we can understand how as a contrasting thing, bhakti is much easier. Simple. Just chant, eat, and be happy. Yes, that's the thing. But yeah, I agree. It's maybe a lot. I thought it might, of course, wanted to give an overview, but maybe a little too overwhelming. I will try to not go much deeper. We'll just skim through the top next more cantos and we'll move forward. At least, just want to bring out the complete aspect of all the 12 cantos. We'll quickly drive through this thing. So in Canto 5, this talks about sthanam, basically on how different living entities are present in different different planetary systems. And this is where the whole story of Priyavarat Maharaj, his son Agnidra, his son Nabhi, then Rishabdev, Bharat Maharaj, everything else comes. So here we again will not go deep. We'll just touch on one story of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj again is one of the sons of Rishabdev. Rishabdev had 100 sons, and Bharat Maharaj, he ascended to the kingdom and the throne. He was amazing king, very loved by his subjects and very devotional. And so at the right time, he wanted to retire from his kingly life, and he wanted to spend all his life in trying to in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he renounced his whole kingdom. He went to the forest and he wanted to just do devotional practices and serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead and perfect his life. And in this process, at one point of time, he saw that when he was meditating in his ashram, he saw that there was a deer who was trying to run away from a lion. The lion was chasing it and the deer was running away, and the deer had to jump over a stream. And actually the deer was also carrying, had a baby in its womb. And in that process of escaping from the lion, the baby was delivered, and the deer, of course, as if I remember correctly, the deer lost its life. So only the baby was remaining. So Maharaj Bharat became a little bit compassionate towards the deer, and he started taking care of the deer. He started feeding the deer because the mother was not there. He started feeding the deer. He gave his love, he gave his affection to the deer, and he was meditating, but he was kind of taking care of the deer, and slowly, his attachment to the deer started to increase. And what happened is he became so attached now to the deer that even in his meditation, he was now thinking only of the deer. So the deer became more dear to him. So he became like than Krishna himself. So then at one point of time, of course, he left the world. I mean, he had to leave the body. And because he was in so much of this deer consciousness, he attained the body of a deer. But again, Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna is so merciful that even in the body of a deer, he had the full consciousness of who he was and how, because of his attachment to the deer, he took his birth. So that's where it kind of comes to our lives. We can see, I mean, I have to talk about my own self. Even though I'm in devotional service or aspiring to be a devotee, but still there are so many attachments, and those attachments can anytime lure us away from Krishna. So it's very important to be in the association of devotees, because Bharat Maharaj, he went away from the association of devotees. He was like individually meditating, and so this deer kind of did the magic on him. But if we are in the association of devotees and we are regularly in touch with each other, then of course all of these things we can be protected from that. Of course, then Bharat Maharaj became a deer, but he was only around sages and everyone. And then he got a next body wherein he became Jada Bharat, wherein again he got a human form, but he had full realization. So he kept himself to himself pretty much, and he did not associate too much with the world, but he just kept to himself. That's why he was called Jada Bharat. And then, of course, the whole thing happens of how he meets King Rahuguna, and King Rahuguna realizes this great soul, and then King Rahuguna becomes his student, and of course, and then Jada Bharat, he perfects his life and goes back. That's the story of Bharat Maharaj, which is again illustrative. I mean, all of these stories primarily give us chances to see how, if people, great people, common people, anybody can be affected by different ways. So we are also susceptible to all of these issues in our lives. So how, by just being in the protection of the association of devotees, we can actually perfect our lives and be happy. That kind of comes out from these stories. So with that said, we'll just move forward. We have to Canto 6. Canto 6 again is, I'll just quickly say, at the end of Canto 5, all the hellish planets are explained, like, because sthana, like different living entities are present in different planets. So the hellish planets, etc., is explained by Sukadeva Goswami. So at that point of time, Parikshit Maharaj asks him, how is it that someone can be protected? Like, people, we don't want anyone to go to the hellish planets. How is it that they can be protected? And that's what the answer to that is what is present in the 6th canto, which talks about Poshanam. And the first story that comes there is Ajamil's story. Again, we'll not go into all of these different stories. We'll just touch upon Ajamil's story here. So here, Ajamil is a nice Brahmana boy. Brahmana boy means more of in the kind of the, who reads the scriptures and who is more educated and things like that. So his life was started as a Brahmana boy. Then at one point of time, he sees a man having illicit relationship with another woman. And just by seeing that, he gets affected, and then he starts to have illicit relationship with that woman, and then just to support her, he starts killing, he starts stealing, he starts doing lots of bad things, and his life goes on, and he has many children with that wife. And then at one point of time, like, he's being very old, and he's near to his death, and this is the time when because he has done so many bad deeds, the Yamadutas, they arrive. And they want to take away his soul, which is what you see in the picture there. They want to take away his soul. But at that point of time, he becomes so afraid, and he just calls out his son's name. And his son, he just like that name Narayana. And he didn't think about Lord Vishnu or Narayana. He just called out his son out of fear. Oh, Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. And just because he called out Narayana's name out of fear for his own life, but simply because he uttered Narayana, right away the Vishnu Dutas appeared. And they told the Yamadutas, no, you can no longer take this fellow's soul, because he has uttered our master's name, which is Narayana. He has uttered and therefore he is liberated of all his sins. So you cannot take him. And then the whole dialogue happens between the Vishnu Dutas and the Yamadutas, how they explain that just by chanting the holy names of Krishna or Vishnu, even without thinking about it, we will be saved. And that's the aspect. And then of course the Yamadutas leave Ajamil, and then Ajamil goes ahead and practices more bhakti, and then finally he gets liberated. But through this story, what comes out is that just by chanting the holy names of Krishna sincerely, we can be liberated. And what is also told that if we chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra sincerely, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Like, even in our dreams, Yamadutas will not come to us. That is the power of the holy name. So that's the beauty of this. And of course, there was one joke. I mean, one of the devotees just mentioned, oh, I like Ajamil very much because he enjoyed also and he got liberated also. But that doesn't happen with all of us. There are some great souls who can go through things. So we don't we cannot get to that level. So wherever we are, we chant the holy names and take shelter of the holy names, and then we can be liberated. So that is so that's one. And then there is all of these stories of Indra, Vishwarupa, Vritrasura, amazing pastimes, Chitraketu Maharaj, and then Indra and Dhriti and the Maruts. So we will, as we go deeper, we'll go through that, but we'll skip that for. And then in Canto 7, this is Uti, all the inclinations there can be bad inclinations and good inclinations. That is where all the good inclinations, Prahlad Maharaj story comes, Hiranyakashipu story comes, Narsimhadev story comes, and then the Avaduta Brahmana, Varanashrama system is explained. Because time is running, I'll quickly go through this. 6 minutes. Yeah. Canto 8, Manvantaras explained. All the different Manus, the 14 Manus as I mentioned, Samudramanthan pastime, Vamana and Bali Maharaj pastime, Matsyavatar, all of these is these stories come about in this particular verse. In Canto. In Canto 9, Ishanu Katha, the sun dynasty, the moon dynasty is explained, wherein in the Surya Vamsha, Maharaj Ikshvaku comes, Bhagirath, how Bhagirath brought Ganga Devi to this world, Ambarish Maharaj, Lord Ramachandra, all of those pastimes comes. In the Chandramamsa, Pururava, Yayati, Yadu, the Lord Krishna, his pastimes, all of that is explained in Canto 9, which is Ishanu Katha. Canto 10, favorite for most of us, Krishna's pastimes, in Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwaraka, Hastinapur, all of these things are explained. Basically, it starts off when earth was overburdened by the demoniac forces, and Mother Earth goes to Brahma and other demigods. Along with other demigods, she goes to Brahmaji, and then Brahmaji with all the other demigods goes to Shvetadvip and prays to Lord Vishnu. And then Lord Vishnu promises to come, and then so Krishna himself incarnates in this world, and then his pastimes in Vrindavan with his foster parents Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. Then he moves to Mathura. Then he goes to Dwaraka. Then his pastimes with Hastinapur, Kurukshetra war, all of that stuff. 80 chapters, I believe, are explained. This is one of the biggest cantos in Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 11th canto, it talks about mukti or liberation. In this Mausala Leela, which is where how Krishna disappears from this world, that is explained. And the biggest thing that comes up is a philosophical discussion between Krishna and Uddhava, where Krishna explains to Uddhava the entire bhakti philosophy and everything. And this is in many chapters. That's called the Uddhava Gita. This is what is explained. Krishna wants Uddhava to go and explain all of this to the sages in Badrikashram. So all of that is explained in the 11th canto. And also the destruction of the Yadu dynasty. And the 12th canto, this is about Kali Yuga, how Parikshit Maharaj his departure, and the Vedic division, Markandeya, glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. These all are explained in this particular canto. I know this is probably a long thing, but this is the overall summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, just to give a bird's eye view as to what are the different aspects that are present in Srimad Bhagavatam, how we can really immerse ourselves in these pastimes, in these stories, and just become completely captivated by these pastimes. That's what brings out this. Just also wanted to come, just because in the Silicon Valley we wanted to touch out with how there are nested scope. Folks who are software engineers do know nested scoping. Anyone? What's that? Please.
So when we have a story within a story or a scope within
with respect to programming.
Oh, I mean, I can't exactly explain, but I mean,
no, thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot. But yeah, nested scoping is basically where you have scope within a scope within a scope, and when you come out of a scope, you lose the context, and then you go into the previous one. And so similarly, I mean, all of that knowledge actually all of this stuff is already present in Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein you have Sutta Goswami is talking to the sages headed by Shaunika Rishi. Within that, he talks about Sukadeva Goswami talking to Maharaj Parikshit, and within that, Sukadeva Goswami tells about how Lord Brahma and Lord Krishna are talking, and how Brahmaji is talking to Narad Muni, how Maitreya is talking to Vidura, and so on and so forth. So it's like a beautiful nested scope present in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. And also there are multiple paramparas that are explained, where Krishna first gave the knowledge to Uddhava and Badrikashrama sages, and also Kapila Muni gave it to Devahuti, and then Krishna gives to Brahma, Narad Muni, Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami, Shaunaka Rishi. Beautiful combination of philosophy and pastimes is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. Finally, we'll complete it but how Srila Prabhupada presented Srimad Bhagavatam. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, as you saw, we have a verse in Sanskrit. Then Prabhupada very beautifully gave a transliteration for every verse, which is called Uchcharana, where how we can pronounce each and every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam in English. And then he gave a word-to-word division, which is what we saw, which is called Sandhi Vicheda, wherein he very nicely divided every, the entire shloka into different words and explained what each and every word was, so we can understand it. And then he gave the synonyms for every word, which is Padharthokti. And then he gave the translation for every word, which is the direct English translation for the verse. Of course, because it's like a zip file, it's very hard, but at least he's explained it in a simple English translation, which is called Vakya Yojana. And then Prabhupada gives his purports, wherein he not only speaks about his own realizations, but from the realizations of the previous acharyas. So Tarka and Vigraha, everything is very nicely explained in these purports. And so therefore, that's why the Bhaktivedanta purports make Srimad Bhagavatam study really enlivening, practical, relevant, deep, and gives us personal realizations and personal applications for us. So that's how we read Srimad Bhagavatam. If you see, any canto can be taken, and every chapter has the translation, the verse itself, it has the transliteration, it has a word-to-word meaning, it has the translation and the entire purport explained by Srila Prabhupada. So this is, in this way, if you read the Bhagavatam, I'm telling this so that I can myself read Srimad Bhagavatam sincerely, but this helps us to really apply it and just make our lives successful. So with that, I think that brings us to the end. I will close it for now. Thank you all for patiently listening. I know it was a little too big, but thank you. Please forgive me for not planning it out well. But thank you so much. Any questions? Yes, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thai Gaura Premanande Haribo. Any quick question before we go to the next one? Or comments? Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.
the lecture. I just wanted to thank you because it just felt like I was at a feast. I've had back-to-back holidays all month, and this has been what actually has been the most fulfilling. So going back to what you had said about prasadam and how, it doesn't matter if you eat it the same day for a whole week, the same thing every day for a whole week, it tastes so blissful. And going through, I've never had an overview of the Srimad Bhagavatam like this. And to see how perfectly connected everything is, whether you talk about it as darshan of Krishna, whether you talk about it from subject matter, it's the perfection of transcendental writing. So thank you for displaying that to us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really glad, very grateful to ISV for giving me this opportunity to serve Srimad Bhagavatam, and hopefully please Sri Radha Madan Mohan and Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Shri Kumar Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Next, I think we have Sukeshwari Mataji's problem.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. Can you all hear me? Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to first comment about your class, Prabhu. Amazing. Such beautiful depiction of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I feel so, I really feel so happy that I'm connected to you as a God sister. Thank you, Prabhu. That was so beautiful. Thank you. And I will also, so as soon as Madhav is ready, I'd like to introduce him. Prabhu.
She'll introduce.
Hare Krishna. Actually, I can't see Madhav. I'm seeing the beautiful form of the Lordships. If Madhav is ready, please let me know. Oh, there you go. Hari Bol, Madhav.
Hari Bol, Mataji.
So Madhav is doing our Kaishora presentation today, and he is 13 years old and is a middle schooler at Harvest Park, and doing his 7th grade. And he's been in Sunday school since he was a little baby. It's so nice to see Madhav grown so nicely, and I'm excited to listen to his beautiful presentation. Go ahead, Madhav.
Hare Krishna, my name is Madhav. Today I will be presenting what is the best way of chanting. Do you have the slides? Do you not see the slides? You don't see the slides?
I don't see the slides here.
Oh, I shared it with Rasha Sharila Mataji. I shared it with Rasha Sharila Mataji. I don't know if she sent it to you. Appa, send the slides. Appa, you have the slides. It's just where's the slide? Yeah, I shared it with you. Just go and open a new tab. You need Wi-Fi. It's right there. Isn't that it? Right there.
Temple, right?
Yeah. Try again. You have to share it.
Yeah. Tell her. No, my laptop.
Let me tell just be by there because disconnected and reconnected. Put it back. This says no signal. Oh, there it is. Click slideshow. Just click slideshow. No. Yeah, that. Click that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so what is the best way of chanting? Okay, there's two types of chanting. One is kirtan, which is a group chanting. As you can see, they're doing kirtan in the annual sadhu sangha. Event. So they're basically in kirtan, you use a musical instrument, and it's usually a call and response. So like the singer usually on top of the stage, or sitting on top of like a chair. Probably like they're different than most of the other people. They sing, and then the audience responds by singing the same thing. And then there's japa, which is personal chanting. You chant on beads by yourself or with others. And it's mostly with yourself. There's no call and response or musical instruments. It's your time to like connect with Krishna. Oh, you disconnected again. Oh, okay. So distractions during japa. We engage multiple senses while doing japa. Our hands count the beads, our tongue chants the mantra, and our ears listen to the mantra. But any of these senses can fall prey to various distractions. Like some common distractions include engaging in other conversations while chanting, listening to other conversations while chanting, using one hand to fiddle with like devices like phones and laptops, while the other hand counts the beads, and thinking about something else like chanting. Like you can see this guy right here, he's thinking about the World Cup finals of India vs Australia while chanting, and the other person is looking at an incoming phone call while chanting. And ultimately, succumbing to these distractions is the consequence of an unfocused mind or lack of concentration. Emergencies or distractions. Sometimes it may be necessary to stop our chanting because of an emergency situation, like if someone had an accident or you have to rush to a spot at once. But it may also be necessary to interrupt your chanting because you have some service that mixes up with your chanting time, like a pujari has to address the deities while everybody else is chanting in the hall. And some other examples is that Krishna's old friend Sudama came to his palace, and then Krishna abandoned everything to tend to Sudama. And for distractions, you can see weapons of mass distraction like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Like if some notification comes from any of those, people can get easily distracted and start looking at that while chanting. And even though it is though one might chant off the beads while doing service, but one should question oneself if is it really necessary to chant on the beads while doing service. If one continues with such a habit, it will be extremely challenging to refrain from doing service while chanting, and the unsteady mind cannot discern between emergencies and distractions. A doership mentality. Even though appreciation is not the driving factor, doership mentality, which is probably a project of Rajuguna, can instigate something called performance consciousness. Performance consciousness makes us identify ourselves as the sole doers of our service, and we will take pride in these devotional accomplishments, and the quality of our chanting will diminish. But however, chanting is best approved with a mindset of non-doership. Dependence consciousness. While chanting, we should not think of ourselves as the performers of service, but as the beggars of mercy, and express our dependence to Krishna and not think about our contributions to Krishna. Let us remind ourselves of our dependence to Krishna and remind Krishna of our dependence to him. The purpose of chanting is to develop Krishna prema and serve him with love. Thus, surrendering unto him our chanting will be enriched. And in this picture, you can see it, Draupadi. In this moment, Draupadi depended on her husbands, but her husbands weren't able to help her, so she put her hands in the air and started chanting. And the chanting was so pure that Krishna came and helped her. Lord Krishna's suggestion. Yes, it is difficult to control our mind from distracting thoughts, whether it's general or service related. But in Bhagavad Gita 6.26, Krishna gives a formula focused on japa in the following shloka. Yato yato nischalati manas sanchalam astriyam tastastato niyam yetad atmai eva vasamnayat. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw and bring it back under to control the self. Thank you for listening. Hare Krishna. Like any questions or comments or?
That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you, Mother. And I really liked that you were actually not looking at, you knew what the subject matter was, and you were actually trying to connect the slides. You did not put everything on the slide, and you were actually explaining it from your heart as well. That is so beautiful.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you. Thank you, Mother. Anybody else has any comments or questions for Mother?
First of all, thank you for giving the presentation. It was very precise, and I really loved two things about your presentation. One was how you put all the social media into one thing, saying these are the weapons of mass destruction. I think that's very eye-opening in a way. And then other thing that I really liked is how you pointed out, like, when you are doing the japa, our thoughts should not be like, I am performing service, I'm doing something for Krishna, but rather it should be like, we are seeking the mercy of Krishna and doing this to generate the love for Krishna. So that was really nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mother Prabhu. Thank you for that presentation. It reminded me of the 5 factors of action from the Bhagavad Gita. There's one, the place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. So these are 5 factors of action that Krishna mentions in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I also like how you use the WMD, the weapons of mass destruction. So one question regarding that: why are they considered, if something, the act of chanting and distraction, why is it considered mass destruction? If it's
mass distraction, because like you can get easily distracted by, like, if even for myself, I get easily distracted by like YouTube and stuff. And like for many adults, like you're usually on like Facebook and like Twitter, and people are constantly posting new things, and like people can get easily distracted by that and start looking at that instead of focusing on chanting. So that's probably they're called methods of mass distraction.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to know, how do you chant or jap, or which one you prefer personally?
Japa or kirtan?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Sorry?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to say I really appreciated that you created your own visuals in some places. It was really effective to understanding what you were talking about with the distractions, the phone on the table, things like that. And it really allowed me to also see, oh, I do that. Like it was a nice call out in a very gentle way. So I really appreciate that.
Okay, Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Let's have a big hand for Madhav.
रामश्रेष्ठं मनुमपि शचीपुत्रमत्र स्वरूपं श्रीरूपं तस्यागर्जमुरुपुरीं माथुरीं गोष्ठवाटिं राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरमहो राधिका माधवाशां प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथिता कृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। हे गुरो ज्ञानदादीन बन्धो स्वानन्ददाता करुणैकसिन्धो वृन्दावनासीन हितावतारा प्रसिद्ध राधा प्रणय प्रचारा। हे दीनबन्धो करुणैकसिन्धो कुरु प्रसादं मयि मन्धमूढे लक्षापराधे बहुपापगाधे तत्पादपद्मे स्तुमतिश्च कृष्णे। नैवोपयन्त्यपि चितिं कवयस्तवेषा ब्रह्मायुषापि कृतं रिद्धमुधा स्मरन्ता योऽन्तर्बहिस्तनुभृताम् अशुभं विधुन्वन् आचार्यचैत्यवपुषा स्वगतिं व्यनक्ति। I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rup Goswami, and his older brother Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakund and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Sri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudeva, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy, so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Bandho mohi savadhana mate. Bandho mohi savadhana mate. Jahara prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te. Krishna prapti hoy jaha hoy te. Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya. Arana kori ho mane asha. Arana kori ho mane asha. Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Uttama Gati. Je prasad pure sarva asha. Je prasad pure sarva asha. चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान दुदे प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान दिदे प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाशा जायते प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाशा जायते वेद गाय जहर चरितो वेद गाय जहर चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अदम जनार बंधु लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना हा हा प्रभु कोरो दोया देहो मोरे पद छाया एवे जाष्टु शुक्र भुवाना जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद चैतन्य नित्यानंद Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Mahaprabhu Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन भगवान की जय, श्रीमान महाप्रभु की जय, श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय, जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you dear devotees for joining us for Saturday morning program. This is the last Saturday of the year, so Krishna has noted your name in his book. You have made the last December 30th for him, so Krishna definitely appreciates it. Also today is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So we celebrate both the appearance day and disappearance day of the Vaishnavas, because as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, he reasons ill who says Vaishnavas die. Vaishnavas die to live and live to spread the holy names. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is still living through his preaching, through his disciples, and especially Srila Prabhupada, our own dear Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is still living in his books and through all of us, through his followers. So we can remember Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur today. It's also recommended to fast until noon, although we have prasadam, I think, soon available. But still, it's recommended, if possible, to fast until noon and to meditate on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's contribution. So we would like to thank Sri Kumar Prabhu for giving a wonderful discourse today. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So Sri Kumar Prabhu today explained us the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is known as the fruit of the desire tree of the Vedas. So Prabhu took us on a bird's eye view of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. The few points that I remember, Sri Kumar Prabhu mentioned where Gita ends, that's where Srimad Bhagavatam begins. In the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, abandon all kinds of religions or dharma, just surrender unto me and I will protect you from all sinful reactions, do not worry. And that's the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Parikshit Maharaj is taking complete shelter of Shukdev Goswami. And at the end of the 7th day, he goes back home, back to Godhead. And then Prabhu explained how Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories, and we can relate to each one of these stories somewhere or the other. We go through those situations, whether you are an ordinary person or you are a great person. Anybody can relate to Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving us that bird's eye view. Now we can go deeper also. We look forward to next class where we can go deeper into the stories. Thank you, Shri Kumar Prabhu. We would also like to thank our broadcast team, Her Grace Krishangi Gopika Mataji and Ramanand Katha Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Any newcomers for the first time in the temple? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, thank you everybody, all the returning stars. Thank you for joining us again. And the announcements for Sankirtan. This is the last Saturday, and also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur disappearance day. So very auspicious to go out for book distribution. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would be very happy even if somebody goes and distributes one Back to Godhead magazine, and he would be very happy. he would say, even if you don't get anything, even nobody takes the books, at least people will see you and remember Hare Krishna. There was a Hare Krishna, there was a rascal Hare Krishna. Okay, at least they will remember Krishna by seeing us. So we should go out just so that people can remember that about Krishna. So there are many teams going today. We have Walmart meal pitas. I'm going there. If you like to join me, it's very sweet. People are in the mood of New Year, and the celebrations are very nice to talk to people about Bhagavad Gita. They are very receptive. We also have teams going to Mountain View downtown. So I think Krishna Sakha Prabhu will go there, or you can contact me. And then we have Santa Cruz downtown. Halda Rupa Prabhu will be going there. So very sweet spot, another very nice crowd in Santa Cruz. And then we have Oakland and Berkeley, Oakland Farmer Market. Okay, Oakland Farmer Market, Vaishnu Toshni Prabhu and Adinath Krishna Prabhu. And maybe Jagannath Prabhu is also joining us there. So if you like to go anywhere nearby, far, for any amount of time, please let us know. Of course, there will be kirtan and Bhagavatam distribution teams. If you like to just have a family time, please let us know that also. Besides that, any other announcements? Anybody? Tomorrow, Sunday, we'll have this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so very nice. Thank you for asking that. So tomorrow we'll have the Sunday feast, as we know, and then on Jan 1st, we'll have the whole day we'll be serving prasadam. There will be kirtans. There will be a book table here. Especially 6 to 8:30. There will be in the evening. Jan 1st, 6 to 8:30 in the evening. We'll have kirtans. So please, I'm sorry. In the morning, maybe not. If you feel inspired, you can come, but maybe not. But we'll have a lot of services in the kitchen because we'll be continuously serving prasadam for all the newcomers, people visiting for the temple. So if you like, you can volunteer. It's a very nice way to begin our 2024. So yeah, and do we know who are the cooks for today? Anybody? Ram Priya. Okay, two cooks for today is Ram Priya Prabhu. So let's thank our cooks for cooking. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Okay, anything else? Or we'll go to the prasadam prayers. Sharira Vityaja Jodendriyata hikka jibe pele vishaya sagore tar madhye jivayati lobha moy sudurmati ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्णा बड़ो दोयामो कोरी बारे जिब्बा जाय स्वप्रसादन दिलो भाई से अन्नामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य निताय प्रेमे डाको श्री चैतन्य निताय महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नाम ब्राह्मणी वैष्णवे स्वल्पपुण्यवतां राजन् विश्वासो नैव जायते प्रसादे सर्वदुःखानां हानिरस्योपजायते प्रसन्नचेतसो हि आशु बुद्धिपर्यावतिष्ठते तव्योपभुक्तस्रग्गन्धा वासोऽलङ्कारचर्चिता उच्छिष्टभोजिनो दासा तव मायां जयेमहि Bhagavad Shri Mahaprasadam ki jai. Please come and take prasadam.